DreAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including, actually, especially yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And we put all this together into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one of many frameworks. We got a book on the subject, one of many books, and we have this daily masterclass. And you see how many episodes we have here. All of this under one umbrella. That umbrella is called, if you didn't know, Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how you actually help people by being selfish. Yes, you heard me correctly. You know, on the show, I'm going to always give you a counterintuitive way of looking at things. Today, I'm going to tell you how your selfishness actually helps people. First, let's get a definition of this word selfish. And before I do that, actually, let me tell you that I want you to text me and tell me the best insight that you get from today's masterclass or any other masterclass on the show. Or if you have a question about anything, or there's something that I said that really sticking in your mind, or something that you got from this episode that is helping you solve a challenge that you're dealing with right now, I want to know about it. Text me at 305-384-6894. Again, 305-384-6894. So let's get a definition of this word selfish. It means lacking consideration for others, concerned chiefly with one's own personal profit or pleasure. And today I'm going to tell you why selfishness is actually the best way to help other people. All right, believe it or not, listen to what I'm about to tell you. Point number one, the topic once again, is how to help people by being selfish. Understand, first of all, just as a baseline understanding for any of you who wants to help people. If that is your main driver, that's your main goal, that's the thing that you want to do in life, and I know that many of you do, you can't give what you don't have. You can't help another person with something unless you have helped yourself with that thing. You can't give something to someone if you don't have it to actually give away. While I understand that you are a charitable, altruistic individual, you can't donate with empty pockets. All right, you can't inform somebody with no information. All right, you cannot spread the wealth if you don't have any wealth. You can't give knowledge if you don't have any knowledge. As Jay-Z said in one of his songs, I can't help the poor if I'm one of them. So I got rich and gave back. To me, that's the win-win. So those of you who really want to give, you really want to help people, it is not really about you. It's not about you getting known or everybody knowing your name. You're not trying to make anything about yourself or draw any attention to yourself. Understand that you still, despite that mentality, and there's nothing wrong with that mentality, you still must build up what you have. You must build up your own reserves of what you have to offer before you can go out into the marketplace and give it to somebody else, because you can't give it to somebody else if you don't have it. So this is why you need to be selfish. First and foremost, you got to be selfish so you can have something, then you give. All right, it's a two-step process here. Let me work on my game and develop some game, and then go produce with my game, perform my game, produce results with my game. Then you get the rewards from those results. Then you can take those rewards and you can do whatever you want to do. But if you don't have any rewards because you didn't produce results, because you didn't perform, because you didn't sell yourself, because you didn't have any game, because you didn't work on your game, then how are you going to give to anybody else? So the first step in helping other people is you got to be selfish and look in the mirror and say, all right, what do I need to acquire in order for me to help other people out? Because if you have the idea to help other people, that means you have observed and noted, okay, here are some things that people need. All right, people out here seem to need some motivation. People seem to need some inspiration. People need to learn how to make money. People need to know how to sell an online course. People need to know how to bake a cake. People need to know, here's how you deal with your kids for the first 5 years of life. People need to know, how do you fix your car when it's making this kind of sound and it's this many years old and you don't want to take it to an auto mechanic. In order for you to help people out with the things that you notice they need, you got to have it. If you don't have it, then it's like the blind leading the blind. All right, you got to have some vision so you can help the blind person, right? And this is how it works in life, everybody. We know that human beings being social creatures, we are interconnected, and you can help other people. There's a synergy when what I offer and what you need are the exact same things. I can give you what you need. And if you offer something that I need, then we can help each other. But if I need something and you need it, then we're just two people who need something. All right. Neither one of us can help the other, except I guess maybe commiserating about our lack of the thing that we need. But I can't give you what you need if I ain't got it. So my job, first of all, if that's my whole aim, is I want to help other people, is figuring out how I want to help them. What exactly do they need? How do they need to get it? And then let me go make sure I have it, so that when I show up to these people and say to them, hey, that thing that you need, I have it, I'm actually telling the truth. And then I can actually deliver and get them the results that they want. Everyone listening to me who's been on an airplane, you know what they say. You know the demonstration that they give you on the planes now. And it's funny because I was just thinking about this last time I was on a plane. Man, do they still do the same thing that before the plane takes off, every airplane I've ever been on, doesn't matter what airline it is. Now, I don't remember necessarily they do this on airlines outside the United States. But when you're taking off on a plane that is in the United States, they always have the flight attendants do the demonstration where they're showing you the mask and all that stuff. And I was wondering, man, do they still do the mask thing now that people already have a mask on? But yes, they still do it. I was conscious about it last time I was on the plane. They still do it. And they say, if the oxygen mask drop down, if we experience a drop in air pressure inside the cabin, the oxygen mask will drop down. And we all know what they say, right? Put your mask on first and make sure your mask is secured and that you're getting oxygen before you help anyone else. Even if you have your kids with you, you got to make sure you're getting oxygen before you help your kids get oxygen. Even if you got grandpa with you, or you're a good Samaritan and you want to help the idiot across the aisle who doesn't know how to put the mask on, you got to help yourself first before you help the idiot who doesn't know how to put the mask on. Now, while it's not technically the same thing here, because the oxygen is being supplied by the plane, it's not being supplied by you, the idea is the same, is that you got to help yourself first, then help other people. You got to be selfish first before you can be altruistic. You got to be selfish in order to be selfless. And actually, you might title that might be the title of this episode right here. Put your mask on first. Keep that idea in place. And I'm talking about the oxygen mask on the plane. I'm not talking about the mask. You know, you got people out here walking around with a mask on by themselves, or driving in the car with a mask on and nobody else in the car. I don't know what they're doing. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the oxygen mask on the plane. Move on to point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to help other people by being selfish, or we might call it how to be selfish to be selfless. I like that title even better. Point number 2, people will learn from your example more than they learn from your words. The things that you say to other people, often they go in one ear and out the other ear. I have nearly 2,000 episodes of this masterclass show. Most of the things that I've said, no matter how many episodes you listen to, even if this is the first one, most of what I say today, you will not remember. Most of it's going to go in one ear and out the other ear. I understand that. I accept that. All right? I accept that most of the stuff that I say, you will not remember. That's all right. I can use it again. That means I can recycle it and say it again, and it'll seem new to you because it'll be like you never heard it in the first place. But the things that you do, or the things that I do, people notice those even when they don't comment on your action. People really are paying attention to your actions. If you think they're not paying attention, well, wait until you come across someone who you didn't even know was paying attention to you, and they start noting things that you've done and you didn't even know they were watching you in the first place. We notice people's actions. Even most of the time, 99% of the actions that we see other people take, we don't talk about. And how often have you heard someone say, or have you thought to yourself or said yourself, you know, I'm noticing what other people are doing. I don't say anything, but I'm noticing. Right? Everybody says that, right? We all do that. We all notice what other people do and don't say anything. So the next time you're thinking about saying that, don't say it, because everybody does that. Okay, we all note people's actions. We don't comment on every action that we see, because we would never be able to get around to doing our own work if we commented on every action we saw other people take. But we all do it, and everybody's doing it to you as well. They're noting what you're doing, thinking about it. It's going into their minds, maybe subconsciously, maybe they're constantly thinking about it. They're not going to say anything, because we ain't got time for all that. We ain't got time for that much talking. All right, we got to do our own thing. Now, what does this have to do with what I'm talking about? Now, we all know the saying that actions speak louder than words, right? So the best way to influence people is through setting the example, through your actions, showing them what to do instead of telling them what to do. Now, you can tell people still, listen, I got a show right here where every day for 20 to 30 minutes every day, or sometimes more, I'm telling you, I'm not necessarily telling you what to do, but I'm telling you what I'm thinking. I'm telling you about my mentality around things. I'm telling you how I made something work for me. I'm telling you how you can make it work for you. I'm telling you though, I'm just giving it to you verbally. But what you're really following, the thing that you're going to remember most about me is not anything specifically that I've said. I don't care if it was in a TED Talk, in a book, in a speech, or on this microphone. What you're really going to remember about me, or someone asks you about me and you talk about me, the thing you're really going to know are my actions. Now, one of my actions is, hey, this show comes out every day. That is an action, even though what the show is that I do every day is talking. The fact that I'm doing it every day, you'll remember that more than you remember any one of these specific episodes or any certain phrase or line that I used on the show. You remember the action more than you remember the words. And keep this in mind, not about other people, keep it in mind about yourself. The things that you are doing are what people are really noticing, not what you're saying. Even though we put so much time into what we're saying, if you really think about it, I mean, how many words do you remember when other people talk? Tell me something somebody said to you yesterday. Just yesterday, tell me something somebody said to you. You might remember maybe 5 things that somebody said to you yesterday. All the rest of the things that were said to you yesterday, I don't care if you read it on the internet, if it was said to you in a DM, if somebody just spoke to you in the street, you probably remember maybe 5, maybe 10, if you got a great memory, things that people actually spoke verbally to you or wrote down, directed towards you yesterday, 24 hours ago. But do you remember the things that people did yesterday? You remember those very well. You don't have to think too hard about those. You remember what people do way more than you remember what they said. And other people are doing the same thing to you. They're remembering what you're doing and not necessarily remembering what you're saying. It doesn't mean that you should be flippant about what you say and just say anything. People might remember you say something crazy. But keep in mind, it is your overall actions that that's really going to burn into people's heads. That's the point that I'm making here. Now, how does this connect to the biggest point here, which is how to be selfish to be selfless? Since people are noticing the things you do, even when they're not saying anything, and actions speak louder than words, the best way for you to influence people is to show them through your actions. Instead of emphasizing your words, just emphasize your actions. Words are slippery. Words are a dime a dozen. I don't know how many words I speak every time I record this episode, but it has to be, I can't even estimate, probably 5,000-10,000 words every time. Words are a dime a dozen. Words are cheap. As they say, talk is cheap. People talk all damn day. Now everybody's talking. And you're on Instagram, you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook. Who's not talking? Everybody's talking. You go in your email inbox, everybody got something to say. Everybody's talking all day. Words are cheap because they circulate so much. They're so available that their value is not much. So how do you know who you should trust? How do you know who you should believe if everybody's talking and everybody's saying stuff? How do you know? This is an open question. This is not a rhetorical question. I really want an answer. How do you know who you should trust? You trust people based on their actions. So if you want people to trust you, reversing this, deconstructing it, you got to do the things that you want to see other people doing. You want other people to go to the gym because you're a fitness expert, then you need to be going to the gym. Or you need to look like you go to the gym, so when people see you, they're like, all right, that guy or that girl looks like they go to the gym. All right, how do they do it? What do they do? Now they're willing to listen to you because they see your actions, or at least they can infer your actions. When someone can see or they can infer what your actions are and they agree with those actions, then they will be paying attention to your words. But if you approach people with just words and they haven't seen the actions that back up those words, they may be a little bit skeptical. They might not really be believing what you're saying. Even though they may be politely listening and nodding their heads and laughing at your jokes, are they really retaining what you're saying? Are they really believing what you're saying if they haven't seen the actions yet? Probably not. Let's be honest, probably not. Words are too easy to come by for us to believe anybody's words. And again, since we had these smartphone devices, anybody could say anything. So, I mean, are words really worth much anymore these days? People won't hear you anyway when you're talking until they believe in your actions. And as they say, your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. Now, how does all this connect to the overall point of today's masterclass is this? We're talking about how to be selfish to be selfless. Focus on the actions that you take consistently, because those are the things that are really communicating to the people that you want to help. The people who you want to help are noticing what you are doing. And that's really, if they're going to follow you, they're going to follow the things that you are doing, not the things that you are saying. Even though you said a lot more than you did, they're going to follow the action. If you took 3 actions and you spoke 30,000 words, they're going to follow the 3 actions. You wrote a book with 100,000 words in it, but there's 1 action that people know you for. They're going to follow you for that 1 action, or not follow you for that 1 action. It doesn't matter what you wrote in the book. This is true. So can you help people? Set the example. What do you want to see people doing? Show them through your personal actions, and then they're going to follow you because of that action, or they're going to be turned off from you because of that action, and then you can insert the words. But the action comes first. Or the action speaks loudest. Even if the words come first, the action is what speaks loudest. So if someone hears you, let's just say somebody listening to this right now today, this is your first time ever hearing me, you never heard of me before, and you like what I'm saying, you're like, all right, this guy sounds all right, let me find out what he's about. All right, I just talked to you for 30 minutes, but you're gonna go find out what I'm about. How do you find out what I'm about? You're gonna go find out what actions have I taken. You're gonna go Google me. You're gonna go find out my bio. You're gonna see what has this guy actually done? What actions has he taken? Then you'll decide whether or not you should believe anything that I said on this mic. That's how it works. And again, deconstructing everybody, reverse engineering that idea, people are doing the same thing to you. So what actions are you taking, and do they align? Are they in congruence with the things that you said? If you got to think about it, then you have an issue. People learn from your example more than they learn from your words. Any of you who is a parent, you know that your children do what you do. They don't do what you say. They might follow what you say. They may comply with what you say. But in the long run, their actions will be a reflection of what they saw modeled in front of them. Meaning, what were you actually doing? Not what you said, but what you did. I remember back in the day, this is like in the 80s, there used to be this commercial back when the war on drugs was raging. And the war on drugs meaning like there was TV commercials and all this stuff about the war on drugs. And there was this kid, white kid, and his dad in the house. And this is in a TV commercial. And the dad had like a plate, and there was some, I don't know what it was, like some smoking material, some smoking paraphernalia on his little dish. And the dad approached the son in his confrontational manner and said, "Hey, where'd you get this?" And he's holding it up to the son, and the son's looking at it, and the son's not saying anything. The son is looking kind of like embarrassed, and the dad asked another question. He says, "Well, no, where'd you get this stuff?" He asked again. He said, "No, who taught you how to do this? No, where'd you get this? Who's teaching you how to do these things?" The dad is asking in a very accusational tone, and he's kind of upset. The dad is wondering where the kid got these drugs from, because apparently the dad doesn't want the kid using drugs, which makes sense. Then the kid finally responds to the dad. He kind of explodes. He says, "You all right? I learned it by watching you." And then the dad just gets this look on his face like he's being smacked in the head with the red pill. Like, damn, the kid got it from watching me. And then there's a voiceover that comes on a commercial and it says, "Parents who use drugs have children who use drugs." I'm giving you all of that to tell you this. That video is probably on YouTube. It was a classic commercial. It came on TV so much I still remember it 30 years later. Is that it wasn't what the parent said. The parent apparently, based on the way that video was set up, that commercial was set up rather, apparently the parent would tell their kid, "Don't use drugs." But because the dad was using drugs, the kid went and did it. In other words, the kid didn't hear what the dad was saying because the action spoke too loudly. Moving on to point number 3. Today's topic, once again, how to be selfish to be selfless. Number 3, because the reason why you want to do this, in the end, despite how much you want to help other people, you cannot make anyone want something more than they themselves want it. So even though you want to help other people, you want to help people get out of debt, you want to help people get in shape, you want to help people be motivated and inspired, you want to help people learn how to do a crossover dribble, no matter how much you want to help somebody else, unless they want to help themselves just as much, if not more than you want to help them, they will not get that help and they will not succeed. You cannot make anyone want something more than they want it. If they actually want it, they will take the steps to get it, up to and including asking you to help them get there. Let me say that one again. I want to make sure you heard what I just said. If someone actually wants to be helped, they will take the steps to get helped, whether that means helping themselves or up to and including asking you, expert, to help them get there. I told you this in episode number 1058. that you have to limit your associations. That there are 3 levels of people out here in life. You got the 2-hour people, then you have the 2-day people, and then you got the 2-minute people at the lowest level. We don't even got to talk about them. But people who are at that 2-hour level, right there in the middle, meaning you could spend 2 hours with them, they might want to get to your level that you're at, but they're not quite there yet. They have to take the initiative to become a 2-day individual. You can't make somebody become a 2 days type of person. They have to choose to do that. And until they make that choice, there's nothing you can do to help them. They will come to you, when a person becomes a 2 days person, they will come to you asking you to help them. Show me the game. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me what you're working on. Tell me how to do this. You need not force your wisdom upon people. You can only, sometimes in life, you got to just preach to the choir. Actually, many times in life, you got to preach to the choir. I told you in episode number 1507, preach to the choir, dummy. Preaching to the choir is a smart thing, is a good business move. This is what wise people do. They preach to the choir. Idiots try to preach to the heathens standing on the corner across the street from the church. Smart people go into the church and preach to the people who showed up to hear what you had to say. Do not force your wisdom upon people. Do what you do. And people who want to come along, they know what you're doing. As I just told you, people are looking at your actions and noting them even when they're not saying anything. Even when you think they're not looking, they notice what you're doing. They will come along and find you if and when they decide they want to go on that ride. And if they never come along and find you, it's not because they didn't know about you. It's because they're just not interested. And it ain't your business what they're interested in. All right, you can only focus on what you do. Let's recap today's class, which is how to be selfish to be selfless. Definition of selfish meaning lacking consideration for others, concerned chiefly with one's own personal profit or pleasure. But I'm telling you how you can leverage selfishness in order to help other people. This is how you actually do it. Number 1, remember that you can't give what you don't have. All right, you can be charitable and altruistic, but you can't donate if you ain't got no money. Jay-Z said, I can't help the poor if I'm one of them, so I got rich and gave back. To me, that is the win-win. On airplanes, they tell you, put your mask on first, then you help other people. If you are not helped, you can't help anyone else. Point number 2, remember that people learn from your example more than they learn from your words. Every one of us notes the actions that other people are taking, and most of the time we don't say anything about what we're noticing, but we notice other people's actions. And knowing this, knowing that you think that about other people, notice that other people are thinking it about you. They are noticing your actions even when they're not saying anything about your actions. They see exactly what you're doing and they are considering it. They're just not saying anything. Just remember that they're watching you even when you're not getting any feedback. And as we have said, we've all known this all of our lives, actions speak louder than words. Words are a dime a dozen. People talk all damn day. We can't trust anything that people say, but we can trust what people do. And point number 3, in the end, despite how much you want to help other people, you cannot make anyone want anything more than they themselves want it. When someone is a 2 hours person, like we talked about in episode 1058, in order for them to become a 2 days person, must be a conscious choice and decision by them, not by you. You cannot force your wisdom upon another person if they don't want it. Do what you do. They will note your actions, and if and when they want to get on the same wave that you're on, they will come find you. You will not have to chase them down. Trust me. Send me a text. Tell me the most valuable insight you got from today's masterclass. What are you going to do differently? What problem are you going to solve based on what you heard today? My number is 305-384-6894. Again, 305-384-6894. Work on your game. Dre all day.